time. There's the mind, okay? And there's the body. Now let's divide the mind into two parts, conscious and subconscious. Now remember what we were teaching about it. You can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. They're the sensory factors. And here, they're hooked up to the conscious mind like antennae. That's what they're hooked up like. You pick up information that's going on outside. Now, there's an old saying that all of nature's creatures respond to outside stimuli, and we certainly do. That information is coming at us. It's what we hear, see, smell, taste, touch. Now, I want you to think of this for a moment. That's how you're educated. You went by what you could hear, see, smell, taste, touch. You let the outside world control you. The outside world was literally programming our subconscious mind. We went to school and we did exactly what we were told. Will you look at what I'm showing you? Will you listen to what I'm saying? Now, what we've got to grasp is that the conscious mind is also the intellectual mind. That's the intellectual mind. And we have intellectual factors. And it's the intellectual factors that we're going to use, if we use them at all, to change the paradigm. To change the programming, you must develop and utilize your intellectual factors. You have perception. Can you imagine how your life would change if that's all you changed is your perception? When you change the way you look at something, what you look at Your perception is your point of view. It's an intellectual factor. You actually have the ability to change the way you look at things. You have the will. The will is a mental faculty that's extremely valuable. It gives you the ability to focus. It gives you the ability to concentrate. Concentration increases amplitude of vibration of the energy that you're sending from your mind. See, thought is energy. Thought waves are cosmic waves that penetrate all time and space. When you concentrate, you fire off a very powerful charge of energy. And you can hold that energy in place with the will. When President John Kennedy asked Dr. Wernher von Braun way back around when I started to study this, actually around 1961, he said, what would it take to build a rocket that would carry a man to the moon and bring him back safely to Earth? And von Braun said, the will to do it. What would it take for you to change the course of your life, multiply your income? The will to do it. If you will keep studying with us, I don't care where you're at, we'll show you how to multiply your income and take control over the situations that you're reacting to right now that control you. And if you're reacting, believe me, you need to take control. This is a beautiful concept when you start to understand it. You have an imagination. The imagination is a marvelous tool. It is truly a marvelous tool. And what we've got to learn to use it properly. And most people don't use their imagination right. They don't use it right at all. You see, if we're using our imagination properly, we would imagine ourselves right into the state of our fulfilled desire. And that's what we have to do. We've got to imagine ourselves right into the state of our fulfilled desire. You see, the future must become the present in the imagination of the person who would wisely and consciously create circumstance. You can use your imagination to bring the future right into the present, and you can be there now. What did Goethe say? He said, before you can do something, you first must be something. William James at Harvard, he said, believe in your belief will create the fact. Well, you see, when we imagine something, we've got it in our conscious mind, so we want to believe we've got it because we can see it and talk about it. That's right. The future must become the present in the imagination of the one who would wisely and consciously create circumstance. You see, we must translate vision into being, thinking of into thinking from. Imagination must center itself in some state and then view the world from that state. Most people don't do that. You have memory. You actually have a perfect memory. There's no such thing as a bad memory. Everybody has a perfect memory. Then we have intuition. Intuition is that faculty that gives us the ability to pick up energy. Okay? It gives us the ability to pick up and read energy. It's a marvelous mental tool. Now, I have a very highly evolved intuitive factor. And it's with these higher faculties that we learn the invisible side of success. And then you have a reasoning factor. Now, it's these mental faculties that really make the difference. And what we have to do is learn how to use these mental faculties the way they were meant to be used. We've got to quit living through our senses and start using our marvelous mind. See, there's a beautiful power that flows into our consciousness. And when it flows in, it's without form. It has no form. We can choose to make it whatever we want. And unfortunately, we choose the wrong thing. Now, you see, as children, we have these higher faculties, but we're never taught to use them. And they are the things that will help you get rid of the paradigm. With that, you can actually cause the paradigm to go away, and you can reprogram your subconscious mind. Now, school does not help us do that. When you change what's going on in the subconscious, you change the vibration you're in. When you change the vibration you're in, you change what you attract into your life. Because believe me, you're attracting into your life all the time. You are a mass of energy and a very high speed of vibration. And whatever's going on outside, I guarantee you, is a reflection of what's going on inside. Now let's take a look at how school operates. The yellow model represents school. Here you are with your senses, and you go to school. You hear what the teacher or the professor is saying. We hear with our ears. That's not listening, that's hearing. And because we hear, we gather information. Now, gathering information is exactly what it implies, gathering information. The books start to pile up in the subconscious mind, or in the conscious mind. All right? Now, periodically, throughout the year, the teacher will come along, or the professor, and you'll be given a test. They want to find out if you know what they've been teaching. And so they have a way of doing that. They give you tests. They ask you questions. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Answering questions to what's in the books that you read is not how you become educated. That is not learning. But we operate with that idea, so we go on through life thinking that's how you learn. I'm going to show you how you learn. You listen with your emotions. And when you listen very carefully, odds are pretty good you will learn. But learning is quite different than gathering information. Learning is when you consciously entertain an idea, you get emotionally involved in that idea, and then you express that idea. You step out and act on the idea, and you change the end result. That is learning. You see, the learning is actually the feedback that comes to your conscious mind as the result changes. It's a beautiful concept. In this program, hopefully you will learn something about yourself and your world. That's not how school operates. So here's what happens. Here we are. School gave us valuable knowledge. However, school never taught us how to alter the old paradigms. So unfortunately, we don't do what we frequently already know how to do. What's happened? Well, superior knowledge, inferior results, causes confusion and frustration. Have you any idea how confused and frustrated some people are? They've gone to school, they got the education, they learned, they passed the exams, they got the degrees, and they can't even find work. Well, let's take a look at maybe why. Here we are here, gathering information. We've got it all stored up. Remember I said we store the books? That's gathering information. But the information doesn't match the results that we're getting. So why not? Because the paradigm is what controls the results, not the knowledge. And if you want to change your results, There's only one way to do it. You have to change your paradigm. Now that's what this program is all about. It's about changing paradigms. Now, as we look at this, we say, if we really understood what was happening, if we really understood it, our life would be quite different. Let's take a look here for a moment. Because, you know, as we learn something, our life can change and change dramatically. Here we are here. That's you. You have a choice. You have a negative or a positive side to everything. Everything. Now, this is based on ignorance and knowledge. So we can look at the downside of life and accept it because it's there. You can see it, smell it, hear it, taste it, touch it. Or you can reject it. But you would need a respectable understanding to do that. Let's see how it works. Here's a person here, has a thought power flowing into their consciousness, and they have the ability to think. What do they think? They can think whatever they want. They can think anything they want. Viktor Frankl, who spent the war years in a German concentration camp, said that regardless of the intellectual or physical abuse he was subjected to, no one could cause him to think something he didn't want to think. Remember we said we have the ability to choose? But then, of course, we've got the paradigm. Now, let's stop and ask ourselves, what would we do if the rent is coming due, the mortgage is coming due, one or the other, the telephone bill went crazy this month, so we got a big telephone bill, and not only do we have a payment on the car broke down, we had to fix it. It's the, let's say it's the 24th of the month, and we got to have a lot of money by the end of the month, and we haven't got any. What's the person going to do? Here's what they're going to do. They're going to worry. Why would they worry? Because they don't have enough money to pay everything at the end of the month. Now, they understand that they're a creative being, but they worry. And then they take that and say, where'd that come from? Well, the power flowed in, and they chose it. See, that power that's flowing into your consciousness is without form. It is a totally creative, unadulterated power. Anybody can think anything they want. But that's what they're thinking. They're thinking the wrong thing. They are thinking the wrong thing. Why? Ignorance. They don't understand they have the power. And then they take that idea that they built out of that pure, unadulterated power that flows into them, and they built a negative concept, and then they internalize it. Now, when they internalize that, that has to be expressed. Whatever you impress must express. And expresses itself as anxiety. Now, it's a strange thing. We suppress the anxiety. We don't express it, we suppress it. And that then turns into depression. Now, what's causing this? Ignorance, not understanding. Not understanding our mind, not understanding how to control our situation. And the depression turns to dis-ease. That's a body that's not at ease. It's in such a terrible vibration. It's not vibrating in harmony with laws. It gets sick. And the dis-ease turns to disintegration. That's why St. Clair Lewis said we don't die, we kill ourselves. Now let's think of this for a moment. Faith based on understanding is the key to freedom. It really is. Faith based on understanding is the key to freedom. But let's also understand this. Faith and fear both demand that you believe in something that you cannot see. You choose. Now think. Both demand that you believe in something you can't see. Why is the person upset? Because they haven't got what they need. But it's not the time that they need it. Yeah, but there's not enough there, and I don't know where it's going to come. Don't know where it's going to come from, see? Look here. There's the power flowing into their consciousness. If they understood that regardless of how bad things are, there's a good side to it. If they look at one side, they can look at the other side. But there's only one way to develop understanding, just one, and that's through study. You must study. And you see, when you finish this course, we have other courses. You can matriculate into other courses where you dig in deeper. But you see, understanding comes from study, no other way. And through understanding, you develop faith. See, you know that if you build the idea, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Why do we know that? Because energy always moves into form. That's one of the first laws of the universe, the perpetual transmutation of energy. Energy not only must, or can, it must. It must move into form, through form and back into form. It's forever moving. Nothing rests. We literally live in an ocean of motion. And that faith manifests as well-being. Now, the well-being, like anxiety, is not suppressed, it's expressed. And the expression turns to acceleration. Do you know why? You're at ease. There's no dis-ease. You're as loose as ashes. And the at ease causes you to become creative. And you're a creative being. So you can take any situation. You follow the one on the right, you're going to get it. If you don't, you won't. So you have a choice. You can go that way, or you can go that way. Which do you want? I don't know about you, but I don't want to live that way anymore. Did I live that way? Yeah, until I was 26. I was over there. I'd come over here, but I'd go right back there. If something good happened, I knew it wasn't going to last. I knew it would go back there. And that's exactly what happened. Now, this is a beautiful concept, and it's one most people don't understand. Now, I'm going to show you what happens as you start to move ahead in this program. I'm going to show you exactly what happens. The X represents your conditioned subconscious mind. It represents your conditioned subconscious mind. X is the unknown factor. And since your subconscious mind is programmed with X-type energy, you're in an X-type vibration. Now, if you want to find out what the X energy is like, take a look at your results. You're getting X-type results. So what kind of thoughts are we going to think? Well, we think thoughts that are in harmony with the X conditioning. Why? Well, when you impress anything upon the subconscious, it sets up a vibration. On a conscious level, that's called feeling. You can say, but I don't like the results. You may not like them, but you're comfortable with them. You see, that is the bizarre part. You can say, I don't like these results, but you can be comfortable with those results. Or you can say, I'm going to change. So here's the process. You've got to put a why idea in your conscious mind. Now, that's what you did when you enrolled in this course. Some of you I remember talking to, and some of you were a little afraid of making the move. And I said, listen, the worst that can happen is you lose some time and money. But you're going to spend the time and the money anyway. But where are you going to learn what I'm sharing with you right now? I don't know anybody else that's teaching this the way we teach it. When the why idea comes along, that's an improved situation. That why idea could represent turning your annual income to a monthly income. Don't just reject that you can't do it. Stay hooked on that idea. What will it do? It'll scare the daylights out of you at some point. You see? As long as you just think about it, I know what I can do. I could move from the East Coast to the West Coast. I could move from this country to another country. I could take all the money out of savings, mortgage the house, and put that up and start my own business. How would you like to be in my business? How would you like to work with me? You can do that. We set people up in this business. We have consultants that teach us information, and we train them. We've got a phenomenal person heading up that department, and I work very closely with them, Doug Dane. And we actually train people to facilitate this kind of information. And you know something? It's the highest paid profession in the world. Although we're not going to go into it today, that's based on the law of compensation. Now let's keep going. Here you are here. This is where you hit the terror barrier. You see, just having the idea in your conscious mind doesn't do any good. You've got to take the why idea and you have to act on it. You mortgage the house, you sell the house, you take all your savings, you put it in a business, or you move to another city. That why idea may just be go ask the pretty girl if she'd like to go to lunch. That why idea may be ask the guy over there if he'd like to have lunch with you. Why idea is anything that goes against our conditioning. And when we go to get emotionally involved to act on it, here's what happened. And keep in mind, you're dealing with the central nervous system. It is the most complex electrical system in the universe. A terror barrier bounces up. You hit it. Worry, fear, and anxiety strike, and you go right back into bondage. Why? God, it's so comfortable. This is scary over here. Doing something different? Holy Dinah, betting on myself? Wow. Can you see what happens? Now listen. I like what Joseph Campbell said. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. Look, when that terror barrier hits, you can run, but you can't hide. Let's understand this. You can go right through that terror barrier. Faith based on understanding is the key to freedom. So here you are. You know the terror barrier's there. You know when you go to step out of the box. You know when you go to do something different that your life is going to change. It is never going to be the same again. You face the thing you fear, and fear will leave you. Just go crashing right through there. Now, when you go through, does that eliminate the fear? No. The fear is caused by the XY energy mixing. It doesn't mix. And through the repetition of impressing the Y, the X will eventually leave. And you've changed your conditioned subconscious mind. Now, how do you do that? Well, you set your goal. You set the goal. You guess at the date. No one knows what the date is. You're guessing at it. Oddly enough, you usually guess fairly accurately. How do you fill in the goal card? Well, let's take a look. Step 1, it's already written for you. I'm so happy and grateful. Step 2, now that, and write your goal in the present tense. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have my own business and my annual income has turned into my monthly income. That's the goal. Step 3, set a target date. Okay? Then the 3 steps. Nothing complicated about it. Now here's what really happens. You see, when you set the goal, it's in your conscious mind. Let's say this is somebody else. If you've got an idea in your conscious mind, you can share it with somebody else. Now, this isn't something you're going to get. This is something you got. You've got it. If you've got it, you can share it. Now think. You couldn't share it if you didn't have it. You don't have to wait until it moves into form. As you impress it upon your heart, as a person thinketh in their heart, I can share it with you, heart to heart. How? I share it through vibration. I can share my desire with you. I can share the idea that's cooking in my subconscious mind. And ultimately, it will manifest in physical form. You do not have to have it in physical form. If you didn't have it in your subconscious mind, you couldn't share it with somebody else. So this isn't something you're going to get. You act like the person you want to become. You've already got it. Now, I want you to look at what Carnegie said. He said, any idea that is held in the mind, that is emphasized, that is either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. See, when you get the idea in your mind, it has to happen. Now, we're right on time. We're at 45-minute mark. The last 15 minutes, I'm going to ask you to take and start really studying. Okay? Because look here. When you get the idea and you impress it upon your subconscious mind, here's what happens. When you impress it, that's impressed upon the universe. You begin attracting to you whatever you need. That's just an absolute law. That's